The day the stars trembled sky above Galvantar, Prime shimmered in deep violet streaks as 3 Imperial warships moved silently through the atmosphere. They made no sound, no warning, only the distant hum of energy fields as their engines cut gravity like a knife. Cities below looked up, unaware of what was coming. The people did not run. They celebrated. For them, this was not an invasion. It was a show of power. Their empire was going to war with Earth, and they believed victory was already theirs, but in the black void beyond Galvantar's moons, something old and silent drifted toward them. A single human vessel, dark, nameless, forgotten in the database of the Empire's long list of enemies. The Galvantarians laughed when they saw it. No shields raised, no fighters deployed, no transmission sent. They called it a ghost ship, but they were wrong. On board the human vessel, Lieutenant Rena Hawley stood alone at the front of the observation deck. Her eyes scanned the incoming data. Her heart was calm, too calm, like it had forgotten how to panic. She had seen war before. But this felt different. They think we're weak, she whispered to herself, watching the Imperial warships fan out in formation. They don't know what we are. Outside, the stars seemed to darken as the ship's old systems came alive. Metal groaned like a beast waking from a 1,000-year sleep. Ancient scripts lit up on the control panels. Earth tech, but old. Older than any record Rena had ever seen. The kind of tech buried in vaults and myths. She wasn't supposed to activate it. No one was. But orders had changed after the fall of the Europa Line. Earth's leaders were done sending warnings. They were sending messages now. Messages written in fire. "Lieutenant," came a low voice through the comms. It was Commander Silas, somewhere deep in the heart of the ship. "Are you ready?" She hesitated. "I don't know, sir." "We're only one ship. We're not just one ship, Rena," he said. "We're the message." She turned away from the stars, heart pounding harder now, not from fear, but from the weight of what was coming. She felt something hum beneath her feet, not just the engines. Something deeper, alive. The ship itself was waking up. It wasn't just old, it was aware. And it remembered war. Far below on Galvantar's capital tower, Admiral Verax stood in front of a crowd, tall, regal. His armor shimmered with metals and alien crystal. He raised his hand. "Today," he announced, voice booming across the city, "we begin the cleansing of Earth's arrogance. We burn their last defenders. We remind them of their place. Cheers." Millions of them. He didn't know that the human ship had already fired. In space, time twisted. A pulse of light, silent and gold, spread from the ship like ripples in a still pond. The first Imperial warship stopped moving. Then it folded in on itself. No sound, no debris. It vanished like smoke and wind. The second ship tried to raise shields. Too late. Its hull turned red, then white, then shattered like glass under pressure. Thousands of lives blinked out in silence. Admiral Verax stopped mid-sentence. His voice faltered. The sky changed. People gasped as the stars behind the clouds bent and twisted. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Back on the ship, Rena stood frozen, her eyes wide. She hadn't pressed anything. No weapon had been armed. The ship had acted on its own. Not in hatred. Not in rage, but in something colder. Something older. The third Imperial warship turned and fled. Commander Silas came over the comms again. But this time his voice was different, lower, softer. "They wanted war," he said. "But we gave them memory." Rena whispered, "What did we wake up?" Silas was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "A promise, a forgotten one." Across the galaxy, word spread faster than light. The Galvantar Empire, unbeaten for 1,000 years, had lost 2 warships. In a single breath. No battles, no talks. Only silence, and a name burned into every data system, Earth, but no one understood why. Not yet. Deep in the shadows of space, the human ship drifted again, quiet once more. But its core still glowed faintly, like it was waiting. Watching. Rena placed her hand on the cold metal wall beside her. She felt it pulse once, and she knew something had changed. Not just out there, but inside her. Earth was not just surviving. It was awakening. Whispers from the void. The wreckage of Galvantar Prime sky still glowed like fading embers, though no fire had touched the ground. Above the planet, where once there were 3 proud warships, now only silence remained. Broken radio chatter filled the Imperial channels, desperate voices crying out for command, for orders, for meaning, but none came. Their chain of command had snapped in the void. The last warship, the one that had escaped, limped through deep space, its engines flickering, its crew shaken and pale. Inside the command deck, Captain Soren of the Galvantar fleet sat frozen in his chair. His long fingers trembled on the control panel. He was known as a cruel leader, fearless, but now his voice barely rose above a whisper. What did they do? To us, what is that ship? No one answered. The data made no sense. There had been no projectile, no energy blast, no detectable attack at all. The enemy ship hadn't even moved. It had simply looked at them, and death followed. He reached. For the comms, command. This is Captain Soren. Do not engage the human vessel. Repeat, do not engage. Back on the ghost ship, Lieutenant Rena Halle sat in the dim observation deck, her reflection staring back at her through the glass. The stars drifted quietly now, as if they too were afraid of the silence this ship carried. Her breath fogged. The cold glass. She hadn't spoken in hours. Commander Silas finally entered, his heavy boots echoing softly in the dark. We're being watched, he said. Rena turned. By who? He handed her a small device. She tapped it. Her eyes widened. Every major power in the galaxy had launched recon drones. Hundreds of them. They surrounded the ghost ship from every angle. None dared to attack, but all wanted answers. They're afraid, she said. They should be, Silas replied. This ship is older than anything in our database. Even I don't know who built it, Rena frowned. But it came from Earth. Silas nodded slowly. It did, but not our Earth, not the one we remember. Deep inside the vessel, the ancient corridors hummed again. Walls pulsed with quiet energy. Doors opened where there were no seams. It was as if the ship knew it was being watched. Suddenly, the lights shifted, not to red, not to blue, but to pure white. Rena's earpiece crackled. A whisper, too soft to make out, ran through the channel. She pulled the earpiece out. Her fingers were shaking. Did you hear that? She asked. Silas didn't reply. He looked pale. Rena leaned in closer. What did it say? It wasn't a message, Silas said. It was a memory. Rena blinked. What? He looked at her, eyes heavy with something that almost looked like fear. This ship doesn't carry weapons, he said. It carries the imprint of what happened. It shows others. It remembers war and forces the enemy to feel it. Not just see it. Feel it. Live it. Rena stepped back. Her voice cracked. That means the ships we destroyed. Silas nodded. They didn't explode. They relived something. Something terrible. Rena's knees felt weak. She sat down. So it's not just a warship, she whispered. It's a storyteller, Silas added, and the story it tells is what happens when you make Earth your enemy. For a long time, neither of them spoke. But deep within the ship, something moved. A soft, low vibration hummed through the Fivian floor. The main console lit up, not in warning. An invitation. A new signal had arrived. It wasn't from the Galvantar Empire. It was older, buried under encrypted layers never seen before. A single word appeared on the console screen. Origin. Rena stared at it. What does it mean? Silas's face turned grim. It means we're not done. The galaxy had thought Earth was a small, primitive world, a minor threat. But now, ancient ships were waking. Hidden codes were unlocking. And something buried in the cold depths of time was rising again, because this ship wasn't built to fight the empires of today. It was built for something far worse. And Earth was not alone in the dark. The buried signal somewhere in the dark folds of space, far beyond the borders of known systems, a pulse echoed silently across ancient star lanes. No sound, no light, just data older than any empire, untouched for 10,000 years. The ghost ship had heard it, and now it was changing. The lights on the human vessel dimmed, then turned blue. The air grew colder. Panels shifted, walls reshaped. The ship was reacting to the signal marked Origin as if it had been waiting all this time for someone to trigger it. Lieutenant Rena Hale stood at the center of the control deck, eyes fixed on the console. New coordinates flashed across the screen. They pointed to a dead zone, a part of the galaxy marked forbidden by every major star map. No traffic, no colonies, not even pirates. What is it sending us toward? She asked softly. Commander Silas stepped up beside her, jaw tight. I don't know, but we've been summoned. Rena hesitated. Should we go? We don't have a choice, Silas said. We accepted the ship, now we follow. Deep inside the ship's memory core, old machines stirred. Metal arms unfolded, brushing off layers of dust and time. Ancient mechanisms began humming in sync. Across the outer hull, faint markings glowed to life symbols written in a language not even Earth had fully decoded. Not yet. Outside, recon drones kept their distance, scanning, watching. None dared approach. None dared fire. Not after what had happened above Galvantar Prime, but far away, in a high chamber of the Galvantar Council, war plans were being redrawn. Supreme Regent Zarulek leaned forward, staring at the broken data from the destroyed warships. One vessel, he hissed. One. His advisor stood silent, fearful. They must have help, one finally said. Perhaps ancient allies. Forbidden's technology. Zarulek slammed a hand on the table. I want that ship captured. I want to see what lies inside. I want to know what Earth is hiding. The room shifted nervously. With respect, said another advisor, attacking that ship may trigger something worse. We still don't understand what it did. Then learn, Zarulek growled. Send in the Obsidian unit. No more mistakes. Back on the human ship, as the vessel moved silently through space, Rena stood in her quarters, staring at an old photograph on her wall. It was torn, faded, barely visible. A woman and a child, both smiling. Both gone. She touched it gently. I'm still here, she whispered, still standing. Suddenly the ship trembled. Not from impact, but from memory. An image flooded the observation screen. Not space. Not stars. Earth. But not the Earth they knew. The image showed a burning sky. Massive shapes descending. Cities breaking. People fleeing. But it wasn't real. It was the past. Or maybe a warning. Rena staggered backward, breath caught in her chest. What? What is this? She whispered. Commander Silas appeared, his face pale. This is why the ship was built, he said. This is the first war, the one no one remembers. The one Earth buried. Rena's voice shook. Against who? Silas turned to her, voice quiet. Not who, what? And then the name appeared on the screen in the same old language that glowed across the ship's hull. LDRATH. What is that? Rena asked, her chest tightening. Our real enemy, Silas said. The reason Earth was once nearly destroyed. The reason this ship exists. As the ship neared the Forbidden Zone, the stars began to dim. Not from distance, but from something worse absence. The space ahead was not just empty. It was void, dead, like something had eaten the stars themselves. The crew fell silent. The ship moved forward. And far behind them, 3 black Imperial crafts cloaked and armed followed in pursuit. Their weapons were ready, but they had no idea what was waiting at the edge of the dark. The edge of the dark stars ended without warning. One moment. Lieutenant Rena Halle stood watching the cosmos stretch endlessly across the ship's observation. Deck bright lights scattered like dust across velvet. Then, just ahead, the stars vanished, like someone had drawn a curtain across the galaxy. No glow, no pulse. Only a wall of still, pitch-black silence. The void. The ship slowed without command. Its systems responded to something Rena and Silas couldn't see. Deep within the vessel, the ancient core rumbled, and the walls changed again. The lights pulsed slowly. Blue, then white, then black. We've entered the dead zone, Silas said, his voice barely a whisper. No readings, Rena replied. Sensors show nothing, not even radiation. The ship stopped at the border as if afraid to go further. Or maybe it was waiting. Then something reached out. Not physically, not visibly, but mentally. A sharp stab of pain shot through Rena's skull. She stumbled backward, clutching her temples. Voices, hundreds, maybe thousands, rushed into her mind. All screaming, all begging. Make it stop, please. They burned. They're inside. Don't follow the light. Don't open the guillotine then. Silence. She gasped and collapsed to her knees, sweat pouring down her face. Silas knelt beside her, face pale with fear. You heard them too? She nodded, shaking. What was that? Memories, he said. The dead, or what's left of them. Rena looked up at the void. It didn't feel empty anymore. It felt alive. Something ancient waited just beyond it. Something watching. Just then, an alarm flashed. Incoming crafts detected. 3 vessels. Imperial signature, Silas swore under his breath. They followed. U.S. Rena stood, wiping blood from her nose. We can't let them enter the void. If they do, they'll wake it up, Silas finished. The ghost ship reacted before they could issue a command. Its engines powered on with a deep hum that rattled their bones. Lights across the hull flared, forming symbols that glowed like fire in the dark. They didn't know what they meant, but they felt it. The ship was angry. In the distance, the Imperial ships uncloaked, sleek, black, armed to the teeth. The Obsidian unit. On board the lead Imperial vessel, Commander Drell sat smugly in his command chair. Target the human ship, he ordered. Disable and board. His officers hesitated. Commander, one said, the data from Galvantar was exaggerated. Drell snapped. They were weak, scared. This ship is just old tech. We are the future. His ship opened fire. 3 missiles shot toward the human vessel. They never hit. Halfway through their path, the missiles bent, turned around in mid-space and flew back at the Imperial ships with impossible speed. Drell's smile vanished. Evasive maneuvers. Too late. 2 ships exploded instantly, their debris scattering into the void. The third was crippled, spinning. But the ghost ship didn't stop. It moved closer to the border of the dark. The ancient console on its bridge lit up again. A new word appeared. Gateway. Rena stared. It's going to open it. Silas touched the controls. We should stop, but the ship didn't let him. A beam of silent light spread from the ship, cutting through the darkness like a blade. And, as the beam reached the wall of the void, the stars began to shift. One by one, lights flickered into view, not stars, not ships. Eyes, millions of them, watching, waiting, and then the gate opened, a massive rift tore through space. Not with fire or sound, but with memory. Visions rushed into the minds of everyone still alive. They saw a world of towers of gold, skies and cities that touched the clouds, then they saw it burn. A shadow descended, swallowing oceans, melting mountains. Something beyond shape, beyond reason. It was not a species, not a fleet, it was the LDRATH, and it was coming back. The ghost ship pulsed with light. But this time, the energy did not feel like defense, it felt like warning. Rena stepped back, breathing hard. Why would the ship open this? Why show us this now? Silas answered, his voice low and grave. Because it's not just our past anymore, he said. It's our future. In the distance, the crippled Imperial vessel sent out a distress call, but the void swallowed the signal whole, and something inside the gate moved. Echoes of the First War rift stayed open, a jagged wound in space, pulsing with an unnatural light that hurt the eyes and twisted the soul. The gateway did not shimmer or glow. It bled. Tendrils of black mist curled out from the tier, reaching for the stars like searching fingers. Behind it, endless darkness stretched far deeper than the void they had just entered, and somewhere inside, something ancient stirred, on the bridge of the human ghost ship. Lieutenant Rena Halle stood frozen, her eyes locked on the massive rift. The ship's lights had dimmed again, the air inside thick with pressure as if time itself had slowed. Her breath came shallow. Every instinct screamed to run, to turn back, but she didn't move. She couldn't. Not while the gate was open. How much longer can we stay here? Rena asked. Commander Silas leaned over the console, scanning the data. Not long. The ship's systems are under strain. It was built to show us the past, not hold open the gate. Then why is it doing it? She whispered. What's it waiting for? Silas didn't answer at first. Then he pointed to the word blinking on the console, Responseth. Ship was waiting for them to decide. Back in the darkness beyond the rift, something stepped forward. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't even a creature in the way they understood it. It looked like a wound in space given shape, a twisting, flowing entity made of shadow and light. Its presence alone sent a wave of nausea through the hull. The last remaining Imperial ship, the one that had barely survived, tried to flee. Too late. The creature extended a tendril. No explosion. No sound. The ship simply vanished. No wreckage. No signal. Gone. Silas whispered, It remembers the First War. This thing, Rena said, is one of the Eldrith? Silas nodded slowly. Or a fragment. A scout. Something left. Behind, Rena stared into the rift, her voice trembling. Earth fought this? And won, Silas said. Rena turned sharply. How? I don't know, Silas admitted. But whatever weapon or force Earth used back then, it was powerful. Enough to tear a hole in time, to create a ship that remembers, and to bury the Eldrith so deep they were forgotten. But now the Eldrith weren't forgotten. They were awake. And watching. The ship vibrated again, drawing their attention back to the console. A new signal had appeared. Incoming transmission. Source unknown. Play it, Rena said. A voice echoed through. The bridge. Soft, clear, human. If you're hearing this, the voice said, then the gate has been opened. This message was recorded during the final hours of the First War. I am Admiral Jundari, commander of the Arclight Division, Earth's last line of defense. Rena and Silas exchanged shocked looks. Admiral Jundari had vanished from history, listed as missing during Earth's darkest days. No one had ever found her ship. Until now. The voice continued. We did not defeat the Eldrith, Jundari said. We bound them. Locked them behind the gate using tech older than our species. Tech we were never meant to touch. The cost was high. Entire cities erased. Memories rewritten. Names forgotten. A pause, but the gate is not eternal. Rena's stomach turned. If you are hearing this, then Earth is in danger again. And only the ghost ships, those who carry the war's memory, can stop what's coming. But they cannot act alone. They need a living soul. A witness. Someone who remembers what it means to be human. Silas looked at Rena slowly. That's why it chose you. She felt a chill run through her body. Me? She whispered. Why? The voice answered before Silas could. The ship bonds with pain, with loss, with strength forged in silence. It found someone who still carries a heart full of grief, but who chose to keep walking. Someone who understands what it means to protect. What cannot be rebuilt? Rena felt her chest tighten. The photograph in her quarters, the loss of her family, the quiet years alone. You are the vessel now, the voice said, and the gate will follow you. The message ended. The rift pulsed once more, and then the creature moved toward the ghost ship. But this time, the ship didn't prepare for battle. It opened. A single beam of golden light shot from its core, touching the creature, not to destroy. But to share. Rena's single quotes as mind flooded with images. Not her own. The creatures. The Eldrith had once been people. Long before war, before destruction. They had loved, built, dreamed, until something twisted them. Something fed on their ambition and turned them into devourers of worlds. And in that moment, Rena understood. The war had never truly ended. Earth hadn't just fought an enemy. It had tried to save one and failed. But now, maybe there was still time. As the light faded, the creature paused. And then it bowed. The rift pulsed. And a path opened deeper inside. Silas looked at Rena. We're being invited in. She took a breath. Then let's finish what Earth started. And the ship moved forward into the gate, into the heart of the forgotten war. Inside the Gatius, the human ghost ship passed through the rift. The universe changed. Not just the stars, not just the silence. Everything. The laws of physics bent. Time slowed. Colors twisted into shapes. Gravity forgot its rules. Inside the gate, space was not space. It was memory given form. It felt like falling through someone else's dream, or drowning in history. Lieutenant Rena Hale gripped the edge of the control panel. Her eyes widened as the ship's walls became transparent, revealing not machinery, but visions. Images played around her like ghosts walking through air cities. Crumbling in fire, alien suns dying, human soldiers standing in the rain with blood on their hands. But most of all, she saw them, the LDRATH. Not as monsters. But as people. Tall, graceful, shining with silver skin and glowing eyes. Once, long ago, they had built wonders. They sang through crystals, moved mountains with sound, raised children under golden trees. And then they vanished, eaten from within. Something had infected them, not a virus. Not war, ambition, a hunger. To know and control everything. They tried to rewrite reality, to bend the universe to their will. And the universe fought back. That was when the first war began. Do you see it? Silas asked quietly. He stood beside her now, watching the same visions. Rena nodded slowly. They destroyed themselves. Earth didn't kill them. They fell. And when they did, they tried to pull the galaxy down with them. Earth tried to stop the fall, Silas said. We didn't win. We just survived. The ship kept moving. But not forward. Deeper. Like it was diving into the core of something. Alive. Around them, the visions changed. No longer the past now warnings. Rena saw Earth again, but not as it was. Earth burned, not from bombs. Not from war. From inside. The infection was returning, and not just through weapons. It came through thought, desire, technology, every time. Someone tried to control too much, it fed the gate. Rena felt a pressure on her chest. A weight of sadness too deep to carry. And then, the ship stopped. In front of them floated something impossible. A planet, or what remained of one. Half of it was gone, carved open like an apple eaten from the core. Black towers floated around it, like broken teeth. In the center, a single structure pulsed, an ancient monolith of obsidian and light. The origin point. The prison. The heart of the Eldrith. This is where they were bound, Silas whispered. Or where they're still waiting, Rena added. They stepped off the ship. No air, no gravity, no space. But somehow they walked. The ground formed beneath their feet with each step. The light responded to their presence. The monolith called them forward. Inside, they found a chamber. Silent, round, empty except for a single glowing figure seated in the center. It wasn't human. But it wasn't fully Eldrith either. It was in between. You came, the figure said. Its voice echoed in their minds, soft and calm, like wind through trees. Rena stepped closer. What are you? The last memory, it said. The one who chose not to fall. The one who stayed behind to carry the truth. Why open? The gate now? Silas asked. The memory looked at them. Because Earth has begun to forget, it said. And when you forget why you suffered, you repeat the suffering. Rena felt her knees weaken. She knew it was right. The wars, the corruption, the greed. Earth had hidden the past so well, even the survivors no longer remembered the price. Then what do we do? She asked. The memory raised its hand. A bright orb floated between them. You carry this home, it said. A key, a warning, a choice. What happens if we refuse? Silas asked. The monolith around them groaned. Then the gate opens fully. The memory said, and this time there will be no survivors. Rena reached out. Her fingers closed around the orb. Visions rushed into her mind. The true history, the full war, the sacrifice of millions. And the weapon that sealed the gate. Hope, not hate. Remembrance, not fire. She opened her eyes. And the chamber was gone. They stood back on the ship. The gate behind them began to close. But not all the way. Just enough to hold the darkness back. For now. Rena turned to Silas. Her voice steady. We have to go home. What do we tell them? He asked. She stared at the orb glowing in her hand. The truth, she said. And what happens if we forget it again? As the ship turned toward Earth, its engines hummed. Not with rage, but with warning. And far behind them, in the dead void where stars once were, the Eldrith watched. Not with hunger. But with memory. And maybe, this time, with regret. The truth returns to Earth. Ghost ship slipped back into known space. Like a shadow returning to FIRELIGHT. It crossed borders silently, ignored blockades, drifted past probes and warning buoys as if they weren't even there. No fleet moved to stop it. No empire dared to chase it again. Every government that had watched it vanish into the void now watched it return with fear carved deep into their hearts. But this time, it wasn't the ship they feared. It was what came with it. Orb. The memory. The truth. Lieutenant Rena Hawley stood quietly at the observation deck. Earth glowed in the distance blue, fragile, full of life. Her home. And now, the center of something far older than anyone had ever imagined. Behind her, Commander Silas adjusted the final transmission. They were ready to speak. To all of them. Every empire, every station, every drifting city. The ship linked itself into every signal stream in the galaxy. The screen lit up and thousands of leaders appeared, humans, aliens, hybrids, machines, all staring. All waiting. Rena stepped forward. This is a message to everyone who can still feel, she began. Her voice was steady, not loud, but unshakable. We opened the gate. We saw what's behind it, and we lived. Murmurs rippled through the streams. You thought Earth was weak, she continued. You thought we were too small, too broken. But Earth didn't survive by force. We survived by remembering what we lost. She raised the orb. Light poured out, not heat. Not power. Memory. Every leader watching, every mind connected to the stream saw. It. The burning skies, the rise and fall of the Eldrith, the death of innocence, the creation of the gate, the sacrifice of millions to contain something that could not be killed. They saw Earth's true history, not the stories, not the censored archives. All of it. Some wept. Some fell silent. Some turned away, ashamed. We are not here to conquer, Rena said. But we will not be conquered either. The ghost ship is not a weapon. It is a warning. And now, that warning belongs to all of you. She looked straight into the stream. You asked for war with Earth, she said softly. But if you ever ask again, understand what it truly means to wake the past. She stepped back. Commander Silas ended the broadcast. The ship's engines powered down. And for the first time in decades, Earth's skies stayed quiet. No invasions. No threats. Only silence, but not the cold silence of fear. The silence of respect. In the weeks that followed, the orb was placed deep beneath the United Council's vault, accessible only by collective agreement, not as a weapon, but as a record, a reminder. Peace talks began between old enemies. Imperial fleets stood down. People whispered about the gate, about the ghost ship that carried history like a shadow on its hull. And though most would never see it again, its story spread like fire across the stars. A new generation grew up hearing the truth, not the lies of power or glory, but the truth of what happens when ambition forgets humility. And in space, far beyond the edge of any map, the rift remained. Closed. But not sealed. On the top of a quiet hill in northern Asia, Rena sat beneath a tree. The grass moved gently in the wind. The photo of her family lay beside her, pressed into the earth. Would have laughed, she said softly. They thought they could break Earth. They didn't know we were already broken and still here. Silas walked up the hill, carrying 2 cups of tea. They're calling it the Halley Protocol, he said, handing her one. A galaxy-wide agreement. No force can approach the rift without unanimous consent. Rena smirked. About time they learned to agree on something. Silas sat beside her. What about the ship? He asked. It's resting, she said. It served its purpose. And you? She looked up at the stars. I remember, she said. They drank in silence. And far away, deep in the dark, the Eldrith waited. Not to attack, not to conquer, but to hope. That if humanity could learn from its pain, maybe they could too. Maybe this time, remembering was enough.